DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, hope you're all well. It is Friday morning and it is April 4th. It's been a long time since I've actually done a vlog. I put up a video yesterday. It was at the Sugar Shack that my brother built. So you can go and look at that. It's actually quite interesting. A fact that I forgot to mention in that video is that my brother uses also a reverse osmosis technique, which is amusing because it's something that's also used in the milk industry. To concentrate things. So usually, sap is so maple tree sap is concentrated 40 times to make maple syrup, but the reverse osmosis concentrates, well, doubles that. So basically, it's like 20 to 1 once he gets that concentrated sap. Anyway, that's just a little technical detail, but it's a big detail, I guess, if you're there before, beside that, and boiling. Anyway, whatever. That was just thrown in because I forgot to write a comment or something on that. Yeah, what 3 weeks. We were away 3 weeks, and yeah, it was intense and not as expected. My mom, sorry, first we went over there because it was the funeral of my mother-in-law. So that was it's an interesting funeral, and I'll say why. Interesting in many ways. I would say essentially positive. I say essentially, you'll see what I mean in a minute. We had very emotional times meeting up with family. We'd not been to Canada for 6 years. It had been since the last funeral, my dad. And finally, with the social media these days, and be it all the type of video conference possibilities, Skype is going out, but Skype, we use Skype, we use Messenger, FaceTime, and so on and so on. So we've been seeing people regularly, even regularly, and chatting and seeing their faces and having, one-on-one chats or whatever. So that wasn't such a shock. It's not like you say, "Oh goodness, you've changed" or what. But to actually be a whole group together, that was fun because rarely we have sometimes group talks. Now the difference was like 6 years ago, my dad's funeral was actually in a church. And I know, in Quebec, it's a post-Christian society. So, less and less things are in churches. Like the region where my parents live, which is not very far from Montreal, there used to be multitudes of church buildings. Remember, this is in Quebec, and Quebec is essentially Catholic on paper. But now there's only two, basically, in that. I guess it's about 100,000 population. That place, more or less, with the suburbs. As far as I know, there's two churches, and one is used mostly for concerts, I guess. And so basically, I guess there's just one church is used as a church, and others are being taken apart or whatever. Because most of the funerals actually are, well, what do they call them? Celebration of life or things like that. And so they're in funeral homes. This was the case at the time for my father-in-law. Like I say, that was 12 years ago. My dad was 6 years ago. And now my mother-in-law, it was in the funeral home. So we had different bits of music, but things that she liked. And no, my mother-in-law was not a religious person, so I guess it was going along to her desires. I made a eulogy, and I actually made a prayer in the eulogy for those sitting there. Okay, it's I was going to say my Protestant theology, put it that way. Now, that was actually the only religious moment of the ceremony, and it was also the only time, basically, I was going to say that God was mentioned. Now, okay, those who are listening will say, well, so what? And I get it. Like I said, it's a post-Christian society. But when you go back, like I went back, well, it's been 6 years since I went back. I saw a big difference in the society. Never mind the Christian side of things. Just the way things are, actually, the whole climate was not very, I found it was not as good as it was 6 years ago. I was disappointed with the society as a whole. I'm not talking about the people, that's a completely different thing, but with the society as a whole, it's a bit of a downer. It was a little, in that respect, it was a bit of a downer for me. I was very happy to see the people, don't get me wrong. Seeing family and seeing friends. There was two very, very big high points for me now. One was I went back to university where and there was like nobody that I would have known, except there was a professor emeritus who had been my teacher. This is 45 years ago now. And I went up and I spoke to a few people, and I said, is Professor Lessard still there? And he said, yeah, actually he comes around every now and then. He's got his office, and he's there today. So I said, oh, could you bring me over to his office? Actually, his office was not quite the one I remember. They had moved him over to another office. The door was open. I walked in. He looked up and he said, Bernard. And he ran over to me. He had recognized me right off. And we chatted for an hour. He was sharp as a tack. He was 89. Sharp as a tack. He really was. And this was a real sharp as a tack. And we had great chats. And I saw one of my university friends. We went out for lunch another day. We hadn't been together for like 35 years. And that was so good. That really was. Like these were high points, put it that way, because it was people I had not seen nor spoken to for this amount of time. And yeah, it was great. Then we went off to family. We stayed with family. And as we were supposed to go off, meant to go to my sister's place, we were warned that my mom had fallen. And when somebody's 90 and falls, you always wonder what's going to happen. Well, finally she ended up in the hospital, and she was in the hospital the whole time that we were there. So of course, like I say, she's slowly getting better. But there was a lot of pain. She was not able to use one of her legs. I'm not going to go into the details, but of course that changed the whole dynamic of the last part of the trip. I mean, a lot of hospital visits, and not at all the type of things that we were wanting to do with her, and so on. So, yeah, there was a bit of a damper there. We got to see, like I say, quite a few family members. Definitely not as many as I actually was hoping to see, but that's just the way, the cookie crumbles, to use a very simple term. Yeah, but nevertheless, I mean, it was a good trip. It was a good trip, but 3 weeks is long when you're out of your home. I miss my kids. I miss my grandkids a lot, and it's nice to be home. It is, but it's always it is something when you're getting older, and we're all we all get older, we all change, but the world moves on, and it doesn't move at the same pace that we do. And sometimes you're happy the way it's moving, sometimes you aren't. It's just the way it is. Yeah. So now I'm really back, looking forward to seeing my family. I'm very grateful for everything that our relatives did for us over there. It was, it was good. Like I say, we get to see people. But yeah, life moves on, doesn't it? It really does. Okay, well, that's kind of a bit of a soul-searching vlog, I guess, and I'm going to stop because it's up to 10 minutes now. I was, though, nevertheless, a little bit also disappointed. I didn't get to practice my Spanish like I thought I was going to. Didn't get to practice it at all, actually. Oh, well, I've got the rest of the time to get back into it now. Okay, DC signing off. Take care, everybody. And it's already April. Yeah.